Imagine the Kintampo yam market early in the morning. Hundreds of farmers sell fresh yams to many buyers. Every yam is essentially identical, and because there are so many people trading at once, no single farmer or buyer can dictate the daily price of a basket. To understand how prices are set in any industry, we use a concept called market structure. This diagram shows how markets are organized, which dictates the level of competition and pricing power. We split these structures into two main paths: perfect markets and imperfect markets. If you grasp this concept, think about the difference in pricing power between one individual yam farmer and a massive nationwide utility company. Before analyzing distorted prices in real-world industries, we must establish a theoretical baseline where competition is absolute. We call that baseline perfect competition. Looking at this board, we can map out the 6 strict conditions required to achieve it. First, there must be many buyers and sellers. Second, the products must be entirely homogeneous, meaning they are identical and perfectly substitutable. And third, there are 0 barriers to entry or exit, meaning anyone can start or close a business without significant cost. Fourth, everyone has perfect and instant information about pricing and quality. Fifth, individual firms are strict price takers. They must accept the going market rate. And finally, firms earn only normal profit, which is just enough to cover costs and stay in business. When these conditions are met, the market operates at maximum efficiency. As we see on this supply and demand graph, resources are allocated exactly where they are most valued, resulting in the largest possible area of consumer surplus. Buyers get the lowest possible prices. But that intense competition has a downside. Since firms are locked into normal profit margins, there is no excess cash. That means a complete lack of funding for long-term research and development, and an inability to grow large enough to benefit from economies of scale. Perfect competition maximizes immediate resource efficiency for consumers, but it starves producers of the excess capital required to fund future technological innovation. Now, let's jump to the exact opposite end of the spectrum, a market where competition is entirely removed. This is a monopoly. Notice how a single firm controls the entire board. In a monopoly, a single seller provides a unique product with no close substitutes. They are protected by high barriers to entry, like massive startup costs or exclusive legal rights. Because they are the only option, they hold the power of an absolute price maker. Without the threat of competitors, a monopolist can artificially restrict the supply of goods to the market. By tightening output, they can push prices far above what it costs to produce the good, often while delivering poor customer service. However, operating at this vast scale offers specific societal benefits. A single utility provider achieves tremendous economies of scale, driving down the average cost of production. They can also standardize their services and funnel massive supernormal profits straight into expensive research and development. Monopolies sacrifice immediate market choice and price fairness to build massive infrastructural scale and concentrate wealth for technological investment. Most real-world markets do not operate at either of those two extremes. Instead, they fall into the messy middle, monopolistic competition. Think of a vibrant high street filled with distinct clothing boutiques and hair salons. In this diagram of storefronts, we see the defining feature of this market: product differentiation. Many firms are selling similar items, but they use branding, unique features, and advertising to convince you their specific product is different, granting them a slight degree of control over their prices. For the consumer, this structure provides a vast array of choices, tailored to very specific preferences. It forces businesses to stay flexible and continuously roll out incremental innovations just to stand out from the shop next door. But that variety comes with a cost. Notice how much of the revenue here diverts straight into an advertising expenditure bucket. This structure generates systemic inefficiencies. Multiple firms duplicate the same efforts, and they spend heavily on marketing campaigns instead of actual production. In monopolistically competitive markets, consumers effectively pay a price premium to fund the luxury of variety and targeted branding. Let's align these structures to see how they relate. This matrix compares perfect competition, monopolistic competition, and monopoly across 4 operational traits. Tracing the data reveals a rule. As barriers to entry increase, competing firms drop, and pricing power steadily rises. If you want to test your understanding, consider how information asymmetry, A situation where a seller knows significantly more than a buyer might disrupt the delicate balance of a monopolistically competitive market. Now, let's put this into practice. Pause the video and read this extract about the contampo market. Based on the homogeneous goods, perfect knowledge, and free entry and exit, identify exactly which market structure this scenario represents. Before your next class, formally critique this contampo scenario. Write down 2 specific advantages and 2 specific disadvantages that this precise market structure creates for the local agricultural community.